I see a lot of good things happening this year from portfolio management that I'm doing with clients this year. I went into the year with a little bit of a different strategy. I have my typical portfolio is a blend of individual securities, individual stocks that are blended across a bunch of different industries. So I run a portfolio that is specific to that. And what I added this year, I typically run a portfolio of 10 stocks and about 5 to 10 exchange traded funds together. And it's a fully diversified portfolio with those. What I did this year a little bit differently, and it's worked exceptionally well, is I went in with 3 themes for this year. And what I would say is overall, there's a theme around construction, specifically in the data center areas, factories, things like that. But I went into it with 3 themes within that world. One theme is alternative or clean energy, which I've got guff online from announcing this on my other podcast on the sense of things. I got all kinds of guff about, well, with Trump in the White House, clean energy, that's a stupid idea. You know what? We have to have energy, period. So whether it's dirty energy, clean energy, nuclear energy, whatever, we are going to have energy. You cannot put all this money into artificial intelligence without needing energy to run all this stuff. And so the reality of this is that clean energy, I think, is an interesting area because a lot of these new factories that are being built by companies that believe in clean energy. So they're building a factory and they're being encouraged by the government to, okay, whatever you're doing, if you build this factory, you need to be creating your own power at this factory. And if you can, if you don't use some of this, split it off to the grid and so that we can use it. And we're not, as a society, building a ton of power plants to power these AI facilities and data centers and everything else. That was one theme for this year. The second is really the natural resource side of things. I started looking at materials, natural resources, things like that. Think of the gold rush. It was who made the most money. It was the guys who were selling picks and shovels, not the guys that were out there digging in the dirt. The guys who are making the picks and shovels now are the people that supply resources to the people that are building a lot of this stuff. And then the last piece of themes for this year was on 5G and that future of communications, because you build a big data center, you've got to have ways of connecting that to the world. And so that was my 3 themes. Most of that has gone off the charts crazy this year already out of the gate. I would expect that to pull back because there's some ridiculous, silly money being spent in that area. Less money, I think, interestingly enough, in some of the high flyers of the last year. Money's kind of shifted around a little bit in the markets. And so I think this is going to be a stock picker's market this year, much more so than the last few years. You could just throw money at an index fund and you were making more money than probably half the investment advisors. This year, I think it's going to be a much more of a stock picker's market where you really need to kind of juke and jive your way through. It's not going to be so easy to just dump money into the market.